How I scaled this faceless YouTube channel to $377,000 in revenue, and how at one point it was quite literally dying. By dying, I mean only making a few $100s a day, and we managed to fix and kind of troubleshoot this and scale this up to around $1,000 to $2,000 a day, and this lasted for a very long time. So let's get into the steps of kind of how we did this and how we executed this. And of course, first things first, heading over to settings, you guys can see that the currency is Australian dollars. So of course, if we go ahead and do 377 AUD to USD, this one channel made close to $250,000. And really quick, guys, if you want to go ahead and join my public Discord server, that's discord.gg/1%. Again, just a super cool networking environment, and it's completely free to join. And guys, as per usual, this is not financial advice. It's simply me giving my own opinion on the current state of YouTube automation and what's worked for me. So first things first, how did we fix this? Obviously, when we first started this channel, yes, it was blowing up. We started it in about 2021. And of course, we went from doing $0 to, of course, being monetized. And heading over here, you guys can see we're averaging a couple $100s a day, but it really didn't go too much above this. And of course, as you guys can see, we had some days where we were averaging like $300 a day. So of course, the biggest question at this point was, what is causing this and how do we replicate the success we've had? And of course, the next big thing was hiring a channel manager to essentially handle everything for us. Now, at this point, AI really wasn't at the point where it is today. You really couldn't automate script writing or any of that stuff, so it did take a lot more effort. But again, we did our due diligence and we hired the correct people, and we managed to get a pretty sustainable team going. And that team would essentially just handle what we tell them to do, which would just be kind of handling the script writing, voice acting, and getting everything sorted. So this was exactly what we changed to really scale this channel into what you can see right here. And as you guys can see, as soon as we implemented these strategies, we literally went from doing a few $100s a day to close to 15 to even $2,000 a day. And you can see some of these days were like 2K, 2K, 2K for weeks and weeks and months on end. Now, what did we actually do? What we did is quite simple. It was essentially copying outliers and merging evergreen topics into that. Now I'm going to give you guys a very quick example of what I mean by this. So this is a very quick example. Let's say for reference, we were doing a Harry Potter channel in the Harry Potter lore niche. As you can see here, they post a ton, right? And let's say for reference, we were in the same niche as them. And our channel here, the one that made $500,000, was in the Harry Potter niche. It isn't actually, but let's just say for the sake of explaining this. What we did was we would find winning concepts on other people's channels and literally just copy them. And I know it sounds effed up. I know it sounds messed up, but this is what works. Now, we wouldn't copy them one for one. I'm going to show you exactly what we would do. So what is an outlier? An outlier is a video that performed exceptionally well on your competition's channel as opposed to their normal videos. So if their normal videos averaged about 10 to 20,000 views, then by scrolling for just a few minutes, we can see some videos had 100K views, some had 40K. Now, an example of an outlier will be something like this, 76K or 100K views. This one here as well, 87,000 views, comparing them to their normal videos, which only get about 10K. That would be an exact example of an outlier, especially this one right here. What actually happened to Voldemort's soul? 236K views. This was an insane outlier. So literally all we would do is make twists on what we know already works. And again, this doesn't just work in the Harry Potter niche. This quite literally works in any niche you're doing it in. You would literally just find an outlier and replicate it in the context that makes sense. Now, a way you can actually build upon outliers and turn them evergreen, which is exactly what we did, and that's really what implemented that spike in revenue, was we would take a screenshot of their outliers. So for example, this video here. We'd literally head over to ChatGPT and we'd literally just send them the screenshot and say, this was an outlier on my competition's Harry Potter channel. Copying their video idea, give me other concepts and titles. So we know that the core format that was working is what actually happened to the fate worse than death. And here's an example of how insane this is. And again, at the time, we didn't have ChatGPT. So the fact that we can now make ideas like this is insane. I mean, look at this. What actually happens if you create too many Horcruxes? That builds upon what this idea was and what made it go viral. But of course, without replicating their video idea one for one. And this is how insane YouTube automation is today. Again, we had to pay people to do this in the past. And again, when we paid them, it still wasn't as good as ChatGPT is going to be. Here's another one, the fate worse than Azkaban. And then we talk about the Wizarding World punishments. This is another insane idea. And here we go. What actually happens if you're kissed by a Dementor? So many what if ideas that were built upon that specific outlier. And again, let's say you wanted to copy this video, all we do is press share and we can literally paste this YouTube video link into vidIQ, head over to the the AI thumbnails generator, and all I'm going to say is copy this Harry Potter thumbnail style, but make it for the idea what happens if you create too many Horcruxes. And again, we're going to let it generate just a few examples. And look how insane these are comparatively to the reference we gave it. We literally just copied their exact thumbnail style for this idea. Absolutely insane that this is possible. And again, this is the only thing we implemented to spike our revenue. So the reason why we're copying outliers so heavily and aggressively is because we essentially don't want to be the ones that have to take the risk to see if a video or topic performs well on our niche. So as opposed to doing it ourselves and kind of testing and having flops and having 10 out of 10s, we can essentially just steal what we know already works and implement that in our niche without ever having to do any testing or troubleshooting ourselves. Now, this was where I got insane, and this is probably the biggest push on what made this so easy to do. Structured and sustainable, aka scheduling ahead. So once we had, let's say, for example, an evergreen topic or an outlier, we would build upon that specific outlier if it does well on our channel, and we would just do it 5 times. So what we would do is we'd find that specific outlier and we'd just replicate it for the next 5 videos. And with those outliers that perform well, replicate 5 of those and just keep rinsing and repeating. And again, our competition still consistently posts videos. So even to this day, if we were in, let's say, for example, a different niche, like here, Dino Knight, this guy posts lore videos on Naruto. Now, of course, he is the perfect example of somebody we can copy outliers from. It works a lot better on people that are posting very often because they have so much quantity that the evergreen views and the evergreen videos and the outlier videos are super easy to diagnose. So right here, their average views are about 20 to 40k. But by scrolling for a few minutes, we can see 210k views. How Itachi created an unbeatable fighting style. We can replicate that, but for a different character. When did Kakashi reach Kage level? We could replicate this, but for a different character. So it really just goes like that, and you just find those outliers and simply replicate them. This is why Konoha has so few Jonin. We do this, but for a different village. And again, rinse and repeat, schedule ahead, and get the next 20 videos all consistently being outliers. That way, chances are at least a few of those are going to absolutely pop off. And again, guys, if you want to go ahead and join my public Discord server, that's discord.gg/1%. I hope you learned something new from this video. It was probably one of the most valuable ones I've created. Again, make sure you join the Discord server. I will see you all later. Have a great day.